I've always been interested in different editor skill sets, and specifically nonfiction for Euphoria. There's a type of character shaping through high volumes of footage, and through all that material, you have to bend the overall impression of that character. But how do you shift the hues and colors of characterization into an arc? You can call it manipulative, or you can also call it very skillful. They're both.
Scalipulative. That's the word we're going to create today.
Portmanteaus. I love portmanteaus.
Curious about creating high-quality YouTube videos? Enroll in video editing and production classes at Manhattan Edit Workshop to sharpen your skills and turn a hobby into a career. Start your journey to becoming a pro today. Hey everybody, this is Josh Apter from Manhattan Edit Workshop, welcoming you to Sight, Sound, and Story episode 58, behind the edit of Euphoria. And we recorded this before the last episode of the final season aired, so didn't really get any spoiler alerts in it, but I'm sure by now you've all watched it, you know what happens, so I don't even have to tell you. However, we're going to go in deep with editors Julio Perez, ACE, Aaron Butler, ACE, Aleshka Ferrero, and Nikola Boyanov. We had a great time talking about this show, all the big moments and all the little quiet moments and everything in between. It's really an amazing way that these guys work on the show, and they go really deep into that totally collaborative process. They all edit on all of the episodes, or at least they're all listed as editors on all of them. And so I asked about how that works for them, and you're going to have to watch the episode to find out, but you will not be disappointed. So please, let's watch this. But first, let's thank American Cinema Editors, ACE, Filmmaker U, Edit Stock, Jason Banky, and Janet Dalton from Manhattan Edit Workshop for making the world go round and all this stuff so easy that all I have to do is start and stop this thing and give you the intros and the outros. But it was a really wonderful event, and had the time of my life. So can't wait to share it with you. Enjoy the show. Welcome, Nick, Aleshka, Aaron, and Julio. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have a lively discussion about Euphoria Season 3. The timing couldn't be worse, though, because I've watched it in rapid fire, and then I have to talk to you, spoiler alert, before I get to spoil anything for anybody, because the season finale / series finale, who in the heck knows, that's coming in literally 4 days, 5 days.
Yes.
So I almost wanted to push this thing off so I could watch it and then talk to you, but now I'm kind of
we can do a follow-up addendum if you want.
We'll do a little yeah, exactly, with the encyclopedia, you'd get the extra ones.
Ooh, footnotes.
So, and I'm going to ask you about it too, because now I'm reading all the rumors, and I'm going to look at your faces when I ask the question of who dies. And I know, and I'll be able to know.
Poker face.
Yeah, we have great poker faces.
Nope, sorry. I think I see Aaron's tell already. It's the glasses.
Aaron.
I'm a terrible liar. I'm a terrible liar.
I'm zeroing in on you.
Don't ask me to lie, please. No.
Giant explosion. They all die now. So,
great scene, by the way.
One of the things I think that's kind of, when I was researching this, was kind of amazing, is that all 4 editors are listed at the end of every episode in all the credits. So not only am I well, who did what on this friggin' thing? I'm sort of interested because you all have, I believe, some sort of nonfiction background, and you came from either reality or documentary or both, and an incredibly collaborative medium inherently. So to see this, I'm thinking, and maybe you can address this, guys, is, it seems like a very collaborative environment, not unlike that, but in a completely different environment, right? So, in a fiction scripted, lots of different rules, but maybe ones that you can break. So can you talk about how you collaborate on something as broad and humongous as this?
I think one of the guiding philosophical point for me is that I'm about fundamentals. And that when you look at different formats, different media, different ways of visual storytelling, when we're talking about the editorial process, you're looking at material that's been digitized, put into an Avid, and you have different shot sizes, and you have characters, and you have to shape a character, whether that character is a simulacra or very close representation of an actual human being claiming to be that, this is who I am in real life. vis-a-vis documentary, or reality, which is even, I guess, further down the fictional pipeline from documentary. Or you have true fictional, storytelling. You're shaping a character no matter what. So I feel like part of why I've always been interested in different editor skill sets, and specifically nonfiction work for Euphoria, is the fact that there's a type of character shaping through high volumes of footage that is inherent to most documentaries and reality shows. Just lots of material, and through all that material, you have to bend a character's, not only the overall impression of that character, but how do you shift the hues and colors of characterization into an arc? And I just find that you can call it, in, let's say, in the world of reality TV, you can call it manipulative, or you can also call it very skillful. They're both.
Sculptative. That's the word we're going to create today.
Portmanteaus. I love portmanteaus.
But you're saying, so, because I was just talking about this the other day about that show, Couples Therapy, right? Which is like, how can they?
Great show. We discuss it at lunch.
So the cameras are completely hidden, and they know that they're there. And Barbara Koppel was a teacher of mine years and years ago, and she talked about how they would forget. This is pre-reality TV, basically, when she was doing Harlan County.
Harlan County's amazing. One of my favorite docs.
So she got to a point where they really did forget, or they were so comfortable being photographed or filmed that they really did forget about this. And now reality TV, and everybody wants to be on TV. And there's a couple in this season of Couples Therapy, you can tell they kind of want to be on TV as much as they want to work out their stuff. And so when you say documentary and this, simulation, or you called them characters, they are the way we shape them as editors, of course. But are they more likely to be behind a protective cover because of thinking of the context of all of this reality TV and all of everyone's so kind of my moment has come? Does it have the same impact, or is what you're saying is even in documentary, it's still that level of artifice? I don't know. I mean,
there's a level, I think. Look, between person and persona, it could be a pretty deep gulf. It could be a pretty big chasm. The way a person is in day-to-day life, and how the way they perform themselves once a camera is pointing at them. And for instance, there's times in reality and documentary where you'll find a way that a question is answered, or if it's verite, the way they interact with someone that feels artificial. And you're like, oh, I love what they say, but I don't want to use it because it completely feels like they're performing for the camera. So you have to find, look, there's a deep difference in stylization between most fiction material and most nonfiction material. The stylization of the performance is different, but if all the world's a stage and we're players upon it, when you put a camera in front of someone, they're going to play even more. It's just, there's roles being played out in any medium, in my opinion. Now, this is there's key differences. I don't want to say that I'm collapsing fiction and nonfiction into being the same thing. I'm not. I think there's an important designation and important ethics that goes with calling something a documentary versus an hour drama. It's an important distinction. It is. But the fundamentals are there editorially. And I feel like I feel like I love for, Aaron or Aleshka, Nick, I'm not sure. Have you done a documentary?
I've done a little bit of it. It was a documentary that never really came out, but I've worked on one.
Still worked on one. Yeah. But Aaron or Aleshka, I would love for you to speak to those fundamentals as well.
Well, and I think just one thing that what you're talking about that made me think, when you're talking about person persona, and it's we're all even real people are kind of performing sometimes. It made me think of when we're working with these actors, and especially because this is our third season. And I found it really interesting to come into the third season, having, edited the second season and being like, wow, I know these characters
Yeah.
so well now, but I also know these actors so well now. And so there's that interesting balance between, oh, because our actors have strengths and weaknesses, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes they can get a little performy, or sometimes they're
Bad
trying to,
habits.
yeah, bad habits.
Some have bad habits.
Yeah, some have bad habits, and
None of
some,
ours. None
yeah.
of our actors, but
Yeah. No, and we are so lucky to have some of the most incredible actors and actresses
Cast,
on
yeah.
the planet. I mean, we are
So,
just
yeah.
so lucky to be able to work with this caliber. And there's so many of them are so brilliant. But learning, I
Mhm.
think, from an editor point of view, how an actor works, and who this character is, and what is honest and true for this character, even though it's a fictional character.
You're evaluating it on two fronts, which is like, is the actor inside that character too much maybe here, and is the
Yeah.
character true to the character as I know them? And what, I mean, it's not like documentary in the sense that you might not get multiple takes or coverage, and
Mhm.
you're working through a different set of challenges. But here it's like you're saying, like that person who's real, they said something that just it didn't hit. It was like,
Yeah.
didn't feel real. Here it's like, well, this performance is, Rue. Like this, it's like in
Yeah, you
the,
just feel it's like, oh, this feels so real to me.
Mhm.
And even talking about some of, the some of the surreal aspects of our show too, I think that, sometimes, because I think when you were talking about fundamentals, we're going for some kind of emotional truth. And that may be a surreal scene or an abstract, kind of arty scene might actually capture an emotional truth better than just a literal representation of that.
yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
can be the
Mhm.
kind of magic, and yes, you can do this sometimes in documentary and reality too, but I think in fiction you can really use a fictional scenario to create an emotional truth, even though on the surface it's totally wild, totally.
No, it gets the point across for sure. And we'll look at the scene in question, later in this talk. The other thing is, I also feel like and I don't want to jump ahead too much, but we're all in a nonlinear world, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When the account is deleted, there is such an elevated, like and then when it happens, it was like Simpsons level anticlimax, sort of like this great. So you get to play with a moment that's huge, and the show has its own perspective in addition to the character, right? Like
Mhm.
that's where I like what you're doing is like
Yes.
we feel this show, and the show isn't just completely. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe it's not just about them, but it's about the making. The show itself is a performance.
Oh, I believe. Yeah. I mean, you have the heightened subjectivity of certain moments for certain characters, right? And that one is our subjective car is attached to the engine of Cassie.
Mhm.
And but yeah, there's also this sort of, let's say, amorphous narrator. There's a kind of outside narrator that where we can sort of reflect on the way we're constructing things as well. I wouldn't say that we try to operate from a what some people would call a meta perspective at all times, because I feel like that can get you into, let's say, a little bit of a too cold and analytical, a little
Mhm.
over intellectual in its approach. When we're obviously the show can be deeply experiential, but I think that is one of the many things that we try to modulate in the show. Is one, the balance between character subjectivity and narrator, technique versus experience, or the experiential quality, irony versus sincerity. Speaking
Mhm.
of portmanteaus, one that Sam and I use a lot is since irony. This really delicate since irony that we play with, where we try to
Right.
literally modulate,
Hmm.
like, how earnest is this moment, how profound is it, versus how much are we standing back and observing it in maybe even a slightly humorous way. It's like these are all these really complex matrix of different little textures and ideas that we're injecting into it, really by just understanding what the show is. Right. And like once we all understand it, it's like I was sort of humbled and astonished by, Aaron, his second season on the show. Nick was on the pilot with me as my assistant editor, and is now an editor on these episodes. Aleshka, her first season on Euphoria, but worked on The Idol with us. So, but I was really humbled and sort of astonished at how well each of them understood what the show was and each character in the show, right, with all the complex modulations of irony, of narrator versus character, of the shifting point of view, because once you have an ensemble, you have to figure out what the point of view is, and sometimes that point of view lies in gradations. It's a spectral thing, not a, oh, this is all Lexi. Although many of Lexi's scenes, for instance, when she and Cassie are kind of going back and forth with the Sharon Stone Patricia character, and she gets the job, that the sort of point of view center of that scene is Lexi, even if it's all about Cassie, it's really operating out of Lexi's point of view. So what I'm getting at is, like, I was really, I don't know, I felt very fortunate that they seemed to, from day one, keyed in on what the show was, right, in like a, I don't know, in a larger sort of like the spirit of the show, which was awesome.
Aleshka, you came into it later. Did you feel like The Idol, did you have an immediate sense of Sam's understanding of the world and the stories he wants to tell, or was there sort of like kind of getting up to speed, ramping it up, where it's like that was that, okay, and then now I know this show. I'm assuming you had watched seasons 1 and 2. But tell me about like getting yourself. Okay, so you understood.
I was a huge fan from season 1, so I had that understanding of it. Just loving the show, watching it multiple times, just because I loved it. I loved what Sam was doing with the story, with the characters, with the emotion, and I was in awe of what Julio and the other editors in season 1 and then season 2, Aaron coming in and Nick also jumping in, what they had done editorially, because I just found it very beautiful, very poetic, and very singular. Like they were from the beginning pushing boundaries as far as tone, tempo, characterization, music, how they were using music, all of these things that I fell in love with from the beginning. So when I got the chance, I've known Julio for a while, and it just worked out that he was looking for someone for The Idol, and I sort of, I guess, feel what he was looking for, with my background, etc. So we got to, The Idol was a very different show in many ways. The way it was, yeah. What? It was what? It was, yeah. It was.
I'm joking.
But I think what was born out of that was the way we started working together as a collaborative. It was a crazy show as far as how much material there was, and to go back to the what we were discussing before about documentary reality. In a lot of ways, it was docufiction. That's what we called it. Hugely. And a lot of improv in it, a ton of materials. We were really shaping it in the edit, and I think the best way to approach it was as a collaborative. Was like, let's just break. It's like what they say, like, how do you eat an elephant? Piece by piece, right? And we kind of attacked it that way.
Yeah. Personally, I just dislocate my jaw and I just slowly. It takes me forever, but it's
like in 307, the snake and the way it eats a mouse. That's in 306.
Yeah.
Nice. I had genuine empathy. Seriously. Is there a lot of, there's not improv? I mean, I guess I should ask you, how much improv are these guys doing in this, have they done
And
in 1 and 2, and then in season 3 more or less are about the same?
A
I think
little
there's
bit.
always a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Not a
ahead,
ton of
Hannah.
improv. I mean, Sam's writing is like pretty. I mean, this is what's amazing about it is like he's not precious, and he's pretty good at putting on different hats at different times. What he writes flows like the show already, and the dialogue is punchy, and there's a real organic feel to the scripts. They don't feel like proper structures. This is how A plus B plus C equals Z. It it doesn't
Mhm.
quite do that. It feels very like I don't know, like a liquid flowing. And then when he gets to the as director, he'll very much reshape it as he's shooting, which will include improv. So there's moments. I mean, I think we saw like rest in peace, Eric Dane. We miss him a lot. But it was kind of nice to see on one of those after the episode HBO things,
Hmm.
Eric
The
improving.
outtakes. Yeah.
The outtakes of
Yeah.
Eric improving, and he was doing these little riffs on like The Shining, basically
Hmm.
saying is talking about the bartender with the glowing bar,
Hmm.
comparing it to The Shining, and so that right there you'll see that there's improv there, and yet all of them will do it. I think some are more comfortable improving than others. I think Z has done some improv. She definitely does some improv.
Hmm.
And I don't think Sam ever really does like a slap on the wrist or anything. He'll just be like, no, say the line. There'll
Right.
be you could hear him like sometimes he's like, the line is this. So
Yeah,
it's really interesting when Sam, again, with modulating these things, Sam can let it get real loose to explore and see what happens.
Wedding reception.
Wedding
Yeah.
reception was
Uh-huh.
that
Hmm.
was the big one. And then there's times where he'll specify what the line is, because that as flowy as the script is, it's all in his head to the
It's like
inch.
working backwards from that line, and like you got to have that line, or what's the point, right?
And it's astonishing to see that. That's where you kind of get an idea of like, despite this sort of like sometimes rawness of the show, the wildness of it, that it's like this inner reflection of Sam's imagination, and that it's actually very carefully constructed.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
What I love.
if you leave out like you don't include one shot or like one setup, and you'll think like we'll hit, and it's like Sam is like, oh, what about that one shot? And he's just like, or we take out one line, he's like, what about that one line? It's like his memory for
Mhm.
the whole entire series, for all of the characters, for everything that's been shot, everything that's been written is I always found that unbelievable. It's just incredible the way his mind works.
What I love about working with him though is he can be all of that, and then the flip side of it is he can be incredibly flexible in the edit,
Yeah.
about trying new things, about going in different directions. The Alamo meeting when Bishop goes look away when Ruth talks to him, which we loved, and
Yeah,
that was a one-off, and that was
Mhm.
total improv. And
yeah,
it was funny because the HBO came back asking us if there was more. And we're like, no, that's it. Like it's a one-off.
yeah, yeah. And it's just,
But
is he always
and
like this? Look away.
uh,
Yeah, right.
exactly. And then there's other moments where Sam can get really loose and just play with Marcel and see what he finds. Like we have all this stuff on we mentioned the wedding, but also the Alamo's prologue, when he went to that church and he shot, the pastor and the black chorus,
The choir, yeah.
yeah, the choir, yeah, and like he shot multiple songs and the pastor preaching, and all of that came down to, talking again about, our docu and reality experience. That's where we put it really into use. It was a ton of footage that we, distilled into what we needed for this what was so beautiful is that he gave us all these options. Because he loved the setting. He loved the people he had there, and he just explored and play, and that allows us to do the same in the edit, which is just it's such a blessing to be able to do both on a show like this, like have like scenes that are like so like meticulously planned and choreographed and shot with all this like very specific coverage as far as how he wants it, and then other scenes where he shoots different elements and he's playing on set, and then we get to play when it gets to us, and we can talk about that, for example, with the Jules and Rusine painting that we were talking about before.
But also I want to say that's why we have a term for when Sam goes into mini doc mode. We call it his mini docs. And he's essentially starts with the team, the operators, and Marcel, like just like he's like, move over there, point over there, point there, let's do that again. And like
so you're saying like he's pointing over like this is the reception scene, or he's happened a lot?
Well, for instance, this did happen in the reception scene of the wedding, where, for instance, so this is where what I consider Sam's lightning in a bottle moments, where he knows he's after something but wants to explore the different characters in the room and the way they react to each other as characters. So they'll literally have one camera. Okay, so I'll interject. Also, 2.1 million feet of film, 65 and 35 millimeter,
right?
Which was 348 hours of material that we went through.
This season.
So he has like super precision, but also mini docs, and they'll do it where they'll roll like 3 or 4 cameras and have one camera rolling at all times. So we'll have to have bless our assistants, our wonderful assistant editors. They'll have to create sequences where the sound is still underneath, and you'll have the cameras turning on and off that you can't actually even group it properly necessarily, like for multicam. You could, but it's weird. And so we'll have a sequence where you have alternating, the audio track keeps going. Maybe there's a small gap where no cameras are actually rolling, but the audio is still rolling. That's a documentary.
Yeah. And we'll sometimes use those audio
reality.
pieces. Yeah. We'll sometimes hear those audio and we'll be like, oh, there's a great little piece here, and we'll use it.
So you basically, I mean, there sounds like there's rules. Sometimes it's very like formalist, sort of like we're going this, and then like, all right, we shot a wedding reception, let's go deer hunter on it and just shoot. Full
Cimino.
Going full. It's going full Cimino. Yeah, exactly. But it worked really well for him, by the way.
It did until Heaven's Gate, but apparently a wonderful picture that's underrated, right?
I loved it. I swear. I mean, I watched it and I goes, "What's that? Must have been the scapegoat of the century." Because it's indulgent, but like, I mean, come on, self-indulgence is like how many 3-hour movies out there where you're like, guys.
We have no idea what you're talking about. there's zero self-indulgence in anything that we're a part of.
Right.
Zero.
So Sam went full Cimino in season 3.
Well, I think what's interesting about season 3, and I'm going to kick it over to Aaron to talk about the reception some more. But what's interesting about season 3 is that I think it was easily our most formalist, our greatest exercise in formalism of all the seasons. That it actually from the conception to where we got, it was actually the most architectural and had some defined structural needs in ways that it didn't before. That being said, within that formalism, it still has that organic sort of flow. I don't, if you're going to talk about architecture, and if I if I'm allowed to be pretentious for a minute, because I love doing it, is, you know, you're talking along the lines of like the way the lines of a Gehry building or Gaudi, you know, the way that the architecture has a liquid or organic sort of undulation to it. So, you know, basically I'm saying it now, Sam's a filmic Gaudi Gehry. That's right.
I was going to say, is there a time during this interview where you haven't been pretentious? You're asking permission. I'm such a dick. I'm sorry.
Actually, there was that one moment where I no, actually, you're right.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was like, I didn't clock.
Yeah, no. No, I love pretentious. That's my central vanity and weakness.
I'm joking anyway, but it's just like the idea that there's so many opportunities to pull something, experiment, have freedom. Like it's, you know, it's it's an enviable job because you get to play like this and in different ways, different disciplines. And with this sort of like, I keep picturing like Daffy Duck jumping into that treasure in that cartoon where it's just like,
I'm rich! I'm wealthy! Yahoo!
It's an embarrassment of riches.
It is.
Because
it really
also
is.
Their performances, you know,
incredible.
Are like, you know, like I said, I wanted to watch the church scene because I could watch Zendaya just sitting in a church for an hour.
That scene did not have that much coverage.
Didn't
No, she nailed it. You know, we had a few takes of each setup. The trick with that one was like it's like it was, how do we shape it so that we get out of the way, you know, so that we let her shine and let the emotion come through. That was like, just resist the urge to cut, you know, that was the mantra with that one.
Aaron, do you have a good anecdote about the reception, which is the opposite of the room in the church sequence?
Yeah, and I think in the end we had like, it was, I think, almost 40 hours of footage of the wedding and reception, and again, just like we were talking about, you know, some of the scenes are very tight, you know, very kind of like, you know, there's just like it was scripted, you know, and then other scenes were like, you know, there were whole scenes that weren't even in the script and that we got. And it was like, wait, what is this? And when I first went to put it together, it was this full documentary experience because they shot all of these different scenes that were scripted, and then they shot all these different scenes that weren't scripted. And so I, at least for a starting point, had to figure out a structure for all of that and try to figure out like, okay, for, you know, how do I get this 40 minutes? And I think that 40 hours, I think, went down to about 40 minutes or 45 minutes. And then, you know, and then working with Julio and working with Sam, you know, got way, way down even further than that. But there was a lot of really interesting experimentation, and Cassie's character went off on this whole other sort of side tangent, and there were all these different scenes where she was kind of falling apart, and in the end it didn't really work for what we needed for where the episode was going and where they, you know, where Nate and Cassie end up in the limousine, right? That's like, and then of course leading into Nick's scenes at the very, very end, right? So it's like sometimes you have to, you know, we showed Sam the big long version with all of these different experiments and all of this different, you know, so much improv. And then we brought it all down, and we had to be about what is the point of each of these moments, and how is this going to work in the whole episode? You know, you can't just, it's not just, oh, this scene is just great by itself and we're just going to include it. It's like, no, we have to, each of one needs to build to where we're going and the story that we're trying to tell.
A quick summary of our overall process, and this is a good encapsulation of it, is that I'm looking through all the footage. I put a bunch of what I call markers, locators all over the sequence for my own mapping of what the footage is. I select certain elements of it that I find to be stronger, magical, have a sort of alchemical beauty to it, whatever. And then I kick those selects over to the three editors. They work on but it could still be really broad so that they can go different directions. And then, for instance, this one, like the select sequence was super long. How long was it when it got to you? Like,
Well, because there was, I mean, it was,
it was still
I don't
long.
even know how many. I mean, well, because there would be one scene
It
could
was
be
like 2
an
hours
hour of
long,
selects.
right?
Could be an hour
Like,
of selects for like one moment.
yeah.
And there was the whole reception. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they work on it. They shape it some. When they feel comfortable, they get it in front of me and I give them notes. It could be like no notes, not very often though. Or it could go into like, anywhere from like 3 to 7 iterations. So once Aaron and I were pretty excited about the big fat not Greek wedding reception. See, that's an unpretentious illusion, right? Just like Daffy Duck, right?
Very pop culture. So pop culture.
Wow, we're 2 for 10. Awesome.
There we go. And then so once we get to that large that larger sequence, we put it in front of Sam and we register his disappointment or his elation, and he'll give us some ideas and notes, and then we kept hammering at it. And with the reception in particular, what we did is as soon as Aaron and I got Sam's vibe, Sam had a couple of notes, but then from those 2 notes, we went for a whole vibe self-noting process.
Yeah, we did a whole new version.
We're like, let's do this, and we basically flipped into what we like to call ruthless mode.
Yeah.
So we were absolutely ruthless.
Yeah.
That reception could have been cut 100 different ways. No joke. I mean, minimum. And then we eventually, when we got into ruthless mode, it was pretty much solidified with some trims there. And then we added back one little beat of Jules and Lexi talking about marriage and herpes. So they were talking about that because we wanted to sort of demonstrate their ongoing, that they're casual with chit chats, so that it would be plausible that Lexi would call her up in 304 and say, "Hey, I've got a gig for you. You want to do it?" So that's a nutshell. Yeah.
I was going to mention that sequence because I watched, I think, your first cut, the really long cut, when we watch, because this is another thing we haven't talked about. We get together to watch each other's work.
Yeah.
All, as much as possible. Sometimes, gets a little crazy and we might section off, but for the most part, a big part of the collaboration is getting together, watching each other's work, commenting on each other's work, and it obviously influences what you're doing. When I see Aaron, doing something very specific, oh, we can bring that into this other sequence or whatever. But anyways, I remember watching the extended cut of that scene, and there were so many great moments. I mean, it was like we were saying before, an embarrassment of riches. And and then what you guys got it to, which is lean and it plays and it's fantastic. But for me, it's the perfect example of that saying, in the edit, you killed your darlings. Oh my God, there were so many darlings in that sequence, like so many funny moments, and crazy, and but ultimately, you got to be ruthless, like you guys were saying, and if it doesn't serve a bigger purpose, it's got to go. So
it was a slaughter.
Yeah,
it was a slaughter.
It was.
Nice. Well, you've said this. I've watched. You've spoken to something like that. You're in service of character, service of story, service of Sam. Right? Like, not necessarily in that order, but you have to look. It's not that it has to be 59 and you can't go over or something like that. That's no longer really the case. It's just if it's not like a point where it's like laying groundwork for another phone call, like that detail was important enough to be included. If it's not propelling something or revealing character, you have to be. I've always found as an editor, like I'll go ruthless mode, and if I miss something, I'll know it. I never do.
And sometimes things come back, right? Things come back.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, if you even think for a minute in your head it could go, that means it definitely should go.
Yep.
For now. And then it's like, if you're watching it saying like, man, this doesn't work now. Like something isn't filling it up.
Yep.
That's when you can, because you can always go back, right?
I think as Mike Nichols said, if you can lose it, you must lose it. Which
Agreed.
I think is a really nice framework to let go of being precious, but not entirely accurate, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to miss that thing you cut out. And I think that's what I strive for, is force yourself to miss something and never like rest on it or rest on those laurels or anything. It's like if you don't have that feeling of yearning and missing it, you're good. That's done. You should move on with your life. But there are moments, for instance, the Lexi and Jules moment. We missed some element of it. We did not miss the entire conversation, because it was a 10-minute. It was a 4-minute scene, not even 2 minutes. It was a 2-minute scene that we used 15 seconds of.
Yeah.
And so we allowed that, you have to stay open to those moments where there's a lack, where something's lacking, where you might have to actually be constructive and not just, destructive, I guess.
Nick's not talking. I feel bad.
Yeah,
I know you have a lot to say.
Get him in there.
Well, because if we don't start watching clips, we're never going to watch clips. Because I could do this.
The thing with Nick
all
is
day.
he doesn't say much when he speaks, so you listen. He drops some funny witty things.
I do. If this is true, then you're going to speak with some precision about a scene which is very precise, at least in my mind. And it's like, I don't want to say it sets the stage for the show. It's the last scene of the first episode, and you definitely want to leave them. People, it's like, here we go, people, right? Like that's sort of it's the announcement of everything that's going to come after it. So why don't we take a look at Rue and Alamo and William Tell? Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a William Tell moment. Yes.
Yes, exactly. There's no one named William Tell.
If I were you, I'd stay real still. Straight twigger.
And if that's not loving me, then all I gotta say, God didn't make the little green apples, it don't rain.
It's weird because the line that precedes it is really important and not in it, which is something like, do you believe in God? Yes, let's see if he believes in you.
Yeah.
So Nick, what's it? I mean, there's a lot going on. It's one of the quieter scenes in a way, even though in its own way it's loud.
I love a quiet scene. I feel like it says a lot about me.
Right.
Um, I mean, yeah, just watching it now, I was like, wow, I remembered why I think I asked Julio, I was like, hey, can I do this scene? Because I had seen some of the dailies, and I was like, I saw Z's performance there, and I was like, oh my God, she's so good here, and just the emotion flowing through her, and she's just standing there, and basically doesn't say anything until the very end. I thought was just amazing. So yeah, it's a quiet scene, and I think something we talked about was like playing with the desert wind. Now that we're sort of in this Western space, and so in this scene, you've got this like night wind that's going, and the tension of this, is he gonna shoot her? Is he gonna get the apple? And I think for me, really, it was more about like the after the apple gets shot off of her head, and like her reaction there, like she has this sort of like crazy a little bit of like a crazy laugh, and she starts to smile, and then Alamo also smiles back at her, and it's like to me that's like the propulsion into the next episode, because it gives you this like, oh, this relationship is actually like, now they're kind of going to be teaming up in the future, or there's going to be some sort of like uh, relationship between the two of them after she just got in like a huge amount of trouble. So I that was really what I keyed in on, and then I sort of I was like, let's create that moment, and then like sort of worked in reverse from there, and like built out the lead up, with her standing there, and yeah, I think I loved like the comedic relief that Bishop and G give. I think he calls it like straight tweaker, and just uh, just the scene was one that drew me in, and so I asked Julio to do it, and he gave me the go ahead, and then like we went through some revisions there, and like and added some score, and yeah, this is I'm so proud of the scene, and the final outcome of it. Like even just watching it now got me a little bit emotional. So
It's intense. And it's funny because I watch it like Alamo, it's not that he's smiling, it's like he's almost like, I don't want to, surprised is too strong a word, but she could have died. And he had put some of that in someone
yeah,
else's hands, right? And maybe but there's still doubt. Like I don't think he's sold on Rue. I think
hmm
it's like, well, okay then. I guess
yeah,
Mhm.
this is gonna happen, right? But there's the tinge of doubt. I love the actor who plays him. I think
Adewale.
audible,
he
yeah,
does a great
Mhm.
job. He also, I noticed, licks and does the air, which
correct,
she does
yes,
again
Yes,
in the
he
yes,
episode
does.
that just happened. So it's like
Mhm.
that's obviously very full of intention, and
absolutely.
yeah, I mean it's just, yeah, it's great. And I didn't notice if it was like a wooden dummy with a wig on it when the apple got shot. I was like looking, it's all very
Right.
Who
graphic
knows?
and
That's the
Right.
detailed.
magic of editing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
There and there
I gotta say something online. To this is like to Nick's credit. A whole bunch of people online when they saw this scene were like, that scene is going to win Zendaya her third Emmy.
Yeah,
nice.
And
yeah,
I was like, Nick, you nailed it.
Good
So
one.
yes,
I'd also like
yeah.
to add for with Nick, he brought it and it was in really good shape. Obviously, we have the ghosts of Sergio Leone through the scene,
Mhm.
and the precision with the way Nick like sequenced the shots to maximize the tension, and then the sound design. His sound design was already very, very fully realized. Sound team took it to another level that was incredible. But once, I think, I don't really know, maybe it was one pass of notes between the two of us, then some score that he found some really great like spaghetti western score, and then from then on we showed it to Sam. Sam like fell in love with it, ran around showing everybody. He like, give me, export it to me, export it. And we export it. And he showed like the crew on set, and everybody's like, here,
Oh,
I
that's
know
so
what
great.
you're doing. Like, we know what we're doing. Like, basically. And he just went, and it was almost like a morale piece for the season, and it was really really impressive. And then so that score stayed in forever, and we were, trying to work it out with Zimmer and his team, and then so we had a more elaborate spaghetti western style score in there. And then Sam was like, his experimental mindset was like, we had this whistling for another track. He's like, why don't you try putting the whistle here? And I'm like, okay. And we did it, and we're like, well, that's super interesting. And then it became a much more spare, kind of sparse quality to it musically. But from picture editing, basically from early rounds, I don't think it was touched all the way through. And then that Little Green Apples by the Temptations was,
that was
I'll toot my own horn there.
Yeah.
That's fair. But outside of my tooting, I think we really should all be tooting Nick's horn.
A lot of tooting going on.
Yeah. I can look away if you want to go and do that. Take a minute for yourselves.
Thank you, Josh.
Yes. Privacy is good. We all mute our pictures for a second. I feel like, like I said, we could talk for hours here, but I want to look at a clip that's exactly like this in so many ways, Aaron. Cassie Zilla. It's like the
subtle.
But I think we were talking, I don't know if it was pregame or when this started, about like, how sometimes a treatment that is not, it's hyper realistic, sort of says everything that needs to be said. We're going to blur out some bits for the viewing audience, but for us here, we'll watch it in its full glory, and then come back and talk about it.
I'm looking at your stats right now. Your career is about to fucking explode.
Maddie was right. She was getting bigger.
I've never done this before.
And bigger.
But for my fans, I'll do anything.
And bigger.
It's too big! Yes! 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 Hi, Frank.
Hi.
You look so small I could fit you in my pocket.
Yeah.
I wonder where else I could fit you. You wanna go where? You naughty, naughty boy.
I'm so bad.
Well, hold your breath.
Oh, yeah. Do it. Yes. Oh, God. Oh.
What are you doing in there?
Nothing.
Are you jerking off to me again?
She knew this was her destiny. To triumph, to conquer, to win. The world was hers. And she had finally been unleashed.
It's better than the opening of Up as a short film. I'm gonna say it here.
That's
And
what
much
we're
like
going for.
Startlingly similar.
That was my inspiration.
Yeah, tell us about it. I mean, not that anyone's going to see any of it in this episode. We're going to blur the whole thing.
It's funny, sort of watching it and reading online, like the reaction to it, when it came out. And it's funny because when I was in high school, I used to make all these little short films, and they were very much in this vein. They were super like shocking, inappropriate, crazy, some crazy sexy stuff. And I loved making people laugh, and I loved shocking people. And so like literally I kind of see a direct line like from the high school videos that I used to make to this scene.
Slightly bigger budgets though, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Tiny
And
bit.
these are on VHS. I like so but no, I mean this was, talk about, just to be able to edit something like this. They spent a year, creating this whole miniature Los Angeles. And I remember, reading in the script, I'm like, oh, this scene is going to be mind-blowing. And the way that they built it and shot it was even better than I imagined. It was the detail of all the buildings and I love this sort of, there's this sort of the humor of going from the miniature world and she's big and then going to the real world and sort of cutting back and forth. This sort of like the deadly kind of seriousness of the real world, and people are screaming and then bicycles are crashing into the car, and then you cut to her and she's like doing her thing, the buildings. I mean, I don't know. It's just such a but I love the symbolism of it too. It's so Cassie. Cassie is like, from the very early, season 1, season 2, she has struggled, with these, daddy issues, and like needing the attention, of men specifically, but just wanting attention and needing that validation. And so now it's like, and I like how a lot of season 3, each of the characters, it's like the things that the problems that they were dealing with in high school are now escalated, into the real world, right? And so I love that this is a kind of visual, symbolic representation of her literally, blowing up. But it also shows her callousness, Cassie's callousness of her just crashing into things, smashing people, and just like, and her worshiping at the altar of Hollywood. There's all this great, kind of psychological symbolism, even though it is silly and it's fun. There's a lot of interesting, the psychological symbolism of it that I had an absolute blast playing.
And it's weird because it's definitely how Cassie interprets getting big,
Yeah.
but told through the speaker is Rue, but it's not Rue's interpretation of it. That's what I think about. It's like everyone's like, is it her thing? Is it going to be like her story from beyond the grave, or is it Lexi's story being told by Rue? But it's like, I don't know. And I feel like same way, like, I don't know, Goodfellas, not every scene was about Ray Liotta. He could push you off into some other very, very specific character's perspective that had nothing to do with him. She gets to position something because of her importance in the entire thing. She's different from everyone in that way. But just because she's talking about it doesn't mean it's hers to tell. It immediately becomes Cassie's vision of it, and the way she'd see it is like it's like it's the perfect embodiment of everything that we see, like you said, like Miracle Grow on season 1 and 2, and like what happens with her quite literally, and then where she goes from there with terms of the part, and I'm going to be famous, and then deleting it's all very the way she would do it. It's very true to service of story, service of character.
Yeah, and I think it's, as you're saying, it's basically like Rue's voice in Cassie's perspective. And the VO does that all the time. Like, somehow, it's kind of part of the magic of it. We accept
that
this
omniscient
voice.
narrator.
Yeah, exactly. And a kind of omniscience from Rue that gets into other characters' heads and says words that they might themselves, which is kind of fun.
But that was established from right after the pilot. The pilot obviously was Rue's POV, but then you get into each character in every single episode in season 1, and it's exactly that, where Rue is taking us through, but we're very much seeing, that character's story, and from their point of view most of the time,
Sometimes, and it kind of alternates. There's moments where
it does,
it'll be their perspective, and then in the next moment there'll be a kind of distanced irony where Rue is inviting us to look at the character with a little more distance, and then attachment, and then distance and attachment. It's a fun thing to play with.
Yeah, but I still feel like this show, she's the sun and the rest of orbits around her more than, you know what I mean? Like it's a shared stage. It's not like all her, but there's something about her experience that seems very central. I mean, maybe because the pilot was very much that, but everybody's asking what happens to her right now. I tell you, like the rumor mill is spinning and churning right now.
It's insane. It's insane.
And the three of you, but I'll get to that in a minute.
We all did that blindfolded, actually.
We edited the last episode blindfolded.
We don't even know.
With the blast shield down. You just use the force to cut it.
Exactly. And it with the force. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
I used to have that shirt with like the old Atari graphic, and lost it, gone.
I lost a shirt this week too, oddly, and it's actually very painful.
Yeah, it can be. No, I'm sorry. Let's go to like so this one to me is also more on the like restrained side, but I think it does something great. And then there's a moment in it that I obviously have to ask you about, which is the painting falling in maybe the most perfectly accidental way that, but let's take a look at Jules paints and Rue slaps Rue, that conversation that they're having.
Against all odds, life was looking okay. Maybe every mistake I've made led me to the right place after all.
You know what I think my problem is? There's only one. I have no responsibilities to anyone except myself. I think that's why I have so much anxiety and depression. Now, if I had kids, I think it'd be different.
You want to have kids?
Yeah. I want to start a life. Get married, have a family.
I don't know if you're ready for kids, Rue.
Nobody's ready for kids, right? But they just do it. And your problems aren't about yourself anymore.
How long have you been sober this time?
A bit. I mean, like a while. I'm not really counting the days this time. I just want good old-fashioned American problems.
What you're talking about is fantasy.
No, what you're doing is kind of a fantasy. You're in a relationship with a married guy who's never gonna be there.
Propose to you?
I mean, I want to wake up to someone I love. Someone who depends on me. Someone who expects me to be the best version of myself. I think that's the solution. Because I have to live for something greater than myself.
Do you think we're gonna be that?
Why not?
How romantic.
I want to be with you.
I don't get it.
Well, the last time we were together, I just thought that it was
A mistake.
a mistake.
You show up, you disappear, you make plans, you don't follow through, and now you're here like professing your love. Where's our relationship? In your head?
I mean, I'm sorry. Did we not just have an amazing time together? Am I crazy? I'm sorry. I thought it was
A big fucking mistake. It almost cost me my relationship. This place, literally everything I'm working towards.
So this is your future now? Just like be hidden in this place here?
His wife knows about me.
What does that mean, Jules? He's not gonna leave his wife for you, Jules. Come on. You're just a little toy that he keeps locked in a little room. Don't go anywhere. Don't see anyone. Just stay there and paint until I come back to fuck you.
Ellis is gonna be here in 45 minutes, so I suggest you get the fuck out of my painting.
There's a lot going on in this scene. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to dwell on it. Was that an accident?
The falling
The
down?
painting.
No, I think they shot it, and Julia, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was one take, and they started shooting it that way, and then Sam decided to try a couple different options. But from what I remember, both Julio and I saw it, and we were like, "No, we got to use this. Like, we have to." It felt so like just raw and real and perfect, like you're saying, like how it falls on her and
Get out of my
yeah.
painting. Yeah, what better way to, if it was an accident and then they're like, let's go with it, because the line maybe wasn't that, but boy, does that work.
I think it might have
Yeah.
been written, but I can't confirm. I don't remember.
I can't
Okay.
remember either. I do remember that he gave us a couple different options without the
Mhm.
falling, and I remember that I think we talked about it. We're like, no, let's go for it. Let's use it. So obviously, then it was about you know building it so that we could have that big explosion at the end. And this scene was one. We were talking about mini ducks before. This is a mini duck scene, in that, first of all, Hunter is an incredibly talented artist, and she does all the paintings that you see throughout the show. She is actually doing,
So that's her
and
hands, her painting. That's
oh
interesting.
yeah, that is her. That is her. So how Sam shot this was, he was filming a documentary style as far as capturing her creating this painting, and I believe she did, because obviously it was, I mean, it's a long scene. There's a lot of dialogue, and for him to get all the coverage and the different angles, he had to we had didn't have multicam, but she did a couple of different versions of the same painting, but she was painting it all throughout. So we had so much footage, beautiful, incredible footage of her creating this painting while they're acting and doing their dialogue and doing all this thing. And I remember uh, this was one that Julio selected. And it was a couple hours of footage. He selects, just his selects. And like Nick, I think I lucked into the scene, and I was like, can I? And he was like, go for it. Good luck. There's a lot. There's a lot there. So obviously the first thing you do is, you watch everything, and you see what speaks to you. And I think, the emotional center of this scene is very much what Sam wrote, the dialogue, what the relationship between these two characters is, like how Rue is seeing herself and what she's imagining for her life going forward. The reverse of that, how Jules sees Rue and doesn't quite believe her, or it has doubts about like what they are to each other. So that was there from the script, but then I think for me the challenge was, what is the structure of the scene, and how do I incorporate this beautiful, beautiful B-roll that I have? Incredible B-roll of her painting and the brushstrokes, and something that Hunter brought to the performance at that moment is that she really uh, like she was living it. So while she's delivering these lines, and while she's upset at Ruin, while she's like, skeptical and doubtful, it showed in her brushstrokes. Like you could see the intensity, and you could see, but mind you, these are like hours of this that I have. So it was about selecting those pieces and then trying to like use them in a way where it's not just B-roll, where it's not just pretty shots, but where it's adding to the emotion of the and helping me tell the story throughout.
Yeah,
right.
you have to give it intention. Like that's the thing. You take this,
Exactly.
and, like when her hand almost becomes a fist.
Yes. So
That's
so
like,
speaking of that, absolutely. That was a one shot. That was something that was in the footage that she did once. And I saw it. I was like, I have to use this. Like I have to use this. So that whole bit while Rue is she's going in for the kill. She's like really like taking her to task with it. I was like, okay, so how do I build this so it feels like almost like a kettle that's whistling and getting, and that crescendo to the slap. So yeah, it's, so in scenes like this, you have obviously the performances were there. They were both giving me the moments as far as their dialogue and stuff, but then it was about the little magic moments that Marcel and Sam had captured, like the hand, like she throwing the paintbrush, like the that perfect take of the paint, painting falling, which are a lot of times it's just like lightning in a bottle. It's just the one that you have. So how do you build everything and make it fit to use those things and use them to your advantage, where you're bringing the most out of the emotion from these two. So
yeah, and it's like we study this. So part of this podcast is based on the Manhattan Edit Workshop, our school. So we have a 6-week art of editing class, and we look at the Maltese Falcon for coverage, for cutting a conversation, because sometimes it can be the hardest thing in the world. And when to go in close, and when she's not looking at him when she answers the question, she's lying to, like, it's just like, this is, I'm a very high praise here. It's like a little mini masterclass in, when do I get closer to her? When am I in front? Her most honest moment is from the front, the most confrontational. When are we judging them from the top? And when do we see that? When do we not see? What do we not see? She says that it's a mistake off camera. That's intentionally, like, so I love that it's mixed with documentary style, but this is a very specifically architected, and I also love the way you use the kettle boiling, right? Because the rhythm of that feels like this rhythm of a thing about to, because it doesn't feel like it's going to blow over or blow up.
Absolutely.
Rather. And it totally just goes nuts. And then, boo, the sound of the steam calms down on that Y. And you just get to fucking
and you
take
just
it
stay
in.
there and feel it and feel her, pain, through it. And the opposite is the beginning of the scene, actually, like how we get into it. I very much wanted to be seeing it through Rue's eyes, like how enamored she is with Jules, right? And so it was about creating, like, like I could have just cut straight into the scene, but I wanted to make a moment of, like, just really feeling the love that she's seen, and just so it's all about that big close up, and how she, like, her performance is perfect, like how you could see the love through her eyes and her looks, and so utilizing all of that, and then, like you were saying, like, when Hunter says that line, it was a big mistake, like, also something that we all do. And I think, I was trying to do through the scene is, like, and it's something that every editor does, but it's like how intentional you are with who you are with for a moment and for a line. And like, a lot of times, a line will have a lot more power when we see the reaction instead of a scene who is delivering the punch, so to speak.
And it's also, since if it's this is Rue looking again for something, for meaning, for trying to figure out what am I about? What is this about? And it seems like watching this sort of passion of process overtake, her lover. That's what it is, but it's not. And then her seeing that in her eyes at the beginning, to her having to descend out of it, the bubble bursting, like, that's like, it's just powerful stuff. Like, and the thing is, and it's a quiet moment. You guys pack a lot of sort of meaning in, no offense to you, Aaron, there's a lot of meaning in Cassie Zilla too. But they're everywhere. Right. And, it's just, I commend you for finding it. And I'm jealous that you get to do it all day.
Thank you. I mean, that
praise.
Yeah, thank you. That is, I mean, that is the gift that Euphoria gives us as editors. It really, and Sam, and the way he writes and the way he shoots, and you. I feel blessed, honestly, because it's not often that you get material like this, that you're able to just put yourself into it and play with and experiment and feel it, because I felt that scene. There's that's the other thing, like I could see myself in that scene, and I could see relationships that I have in that scene, and I could, from their performances, and so you bring all that, to the material.
And I want to thank you for bringing up the quiet stretches, because I feel like with all the outrageousness of the show and the the obvious spectacle, I think that sometimes gets lost on people how many naked's probably not the right word, but because we have that too, but sort of very sort of vulnerable scenes. And I am equally, if not more, proud of what we do in those delicate moments than we are with all the wild spectacle that we have as well. And each and every editor here has done both the spectacle and the delicate quality. And so I really appreciate you bringing that up. That means a lot to me and to the team. So, I mean, thank you.
Yeah. And set in relief, I think it's even more powerful in a way. That's like, if it was all, remember watching Magnolia and I was just like, Jesus, the VU meter's pinned at 20 the whole time. Like, what am I supposed to feel? And no offense to a movie that I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like, but I think the modulation.
I'm going to back you up. Probably my least favorite PTA film, and I'm an admirer of his work, and I'm also astonished by the technique in Magnolia. But you just, along with its bleakness, that is another quality of it that that you just hit the nail on the head. It's like the meter always on full blast all the time instead of having a little more of an undulation to it.
Yeah, I would go into some other podcast where I was like, wow, and I thought Altman was cynical. And I was like, Jesus, man. But that's a whole nother pod for another time.
That'd be a fun one.
Invite I would believe me, I would love to. But you know, we should keep talking about, well, actually, we've been doing this for an hour and a half. I feel like I gotta let you go because people are gonna want more. But are you sad that this is the final season?
Nice fishing.
Loaded.
I think that it hasn't been officially established yet. I think, you know, if I can speak with, you know, as far as I understand, I think it's a good chance that, you know, this Sunday we will be experiencing a series / season finale, but it's not 100%. There have been ideas, discussions, so we don't really know. But so there, you know, the way, as Sam mentioned, he writes each season not expecting another season to happen.
Season 2 could have finished. Yeah,
exactly. That would have been
a
lovely ending to the series in its way. Of course, a kind of trilogy has an added structural integrity to it, having 3 seasons. I do think it, you know, we have a satisfying conclusion for some. For many, I don't know. We'll find out. However, you know, Sam always leaves a little crack open in the door. So, you know, we don't really know yet.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to say, you asked if we were sad if it was ending, and I just want to say that this is the best job I have ever had, the best group of people I have ever worked with, and I was just so impressed, you know, everybody's passion and talent and creativity in every aspect of the entire show, on the production and the post-production, everything, and I just, you know, I am so grateful for the level of care and love and passion and creativity. And so, yes, I am sad.
Yeah.
I was sad on my last day of work. I was like, I don't want to leave. Like, and I don't know if I've ever felt that so strongly on any job I have ever worked on. I was so sad to stop working with these guys.
Yeah.
And we each time, each of us was, you know, staggered. We were staggered when we were let go. And each time, you know, when Aleshka went and when Aaron went, and it was like this period of mourning each time. Like, oh no, it's like they're pulling us apart. So I would say yes, sad, but for me, I think the more appropriate term would be bittersweet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think like for me, Rue and Julio, like Rue's been and the other characters have been in our lives since probably 2017 or 18. So in a way, I feel like I've grown up with them, and like Rue's like a friend or a sibling almost.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna miss all of them, and no matter what happens, like I'll forever, you know, like there will be a little piece of them always with me. So
no, they become family
nicely
to you.
put.
It is like it is a sort of imagined family. I mean, and you know,
well, you talk about them like they're real when you talk about them, because they're, you know, in a lesser show it would be a different exercise because you're seeing through it, and it's just, but this is like, because you've got this amount of talent around you, from, we're talking acting, writing, directing, production design, cinematography, like editing, right? Like it becomes something that, you know, because when my daughter expressed her disappointment, she was talking about them like my friends betrayed me, not like this show something. She was invested, and that's the achievement, is that you create an investment with these characters. That's why you're feeling, so upset that they all die next week.
Yeah, I mean that. Good, nice try on that one.
Never gonna happen.
But that investment, I think, is a reflection of our own investment.
Yeah.
I feel like we're humbled and honored by that investment. We personally apologize to your daughter for any disappointments she might be working through. Yeah. And otherwise, we felt like we had to build a season according to, Sam's creative conscience, and it had to be out of high school.
You can't be in high school forever. You got to graduate sometime.
High school doesn't last forever.
Yeah, we might be graduating from high school. So,
but my parents used to tell me when my kids were little, they said, little kids, little problems; big kids, big problems.
Ooh.
So they're out of high school,
and
I watching this. I was like, big kids, big problems. Like it's a bigger world, and
actions have consequences.
How old are they? 22 in this?
Right? Yeah, 22 to 25.
5 years after.
Right, right. Like how? I thought I knew how to navigate the world pretty well.
Exactly.
Right. And I'm 25 years older than that, and I still don't. So.
No, it's just as crazy and confusing as when I was 14. Yeah,
just more expensive.
Yeah,
inflation's a problem.
Well, look, guys, I can't thank you enough. I was not expecting it to be as rewarding. Not that I thought it was going to be bad, but it was really, really fun.
Low expectations.
Yeah.
Better
keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Right?
Yeah. The smaller the dream, the bigger the smile, as I like to say.
No, you're great. And it's like the enthusiasm and feelings you have for the show absolutely come through. And that's
good.
You can't do better than that. So
thank you, man. Thank you so much. And thank you for
thank you.
having such insightful, well-studied questions. Like you help set us up for success in this envinement. So like your banter is really fantastic. Really enjoyed talking to you.
We can tell you that we can tell that you love, film and TV as much as we do.
I'm a process guy. Like that's the thing. Like that's why my daughter, I'm like, I don't care. I want to know about how you built. If more people could celebrate the work that goes into these things instead of just passing judgment on the final thing it produced.
Amen.
Right? Like it's crazy. And then you go in years and years and stuff, and then Heaven's Gate gets destroyed and no one even understands what it took. I mean, and that happens over and over again. So I'm glad. It really
does. It really does. And then there's the resurrection.
Aleshka, Julio, Aaron, and Nick, thank you so much for joining us. We'll get this out there, but it won't be before everybody knows what happened. So no spoiler alerts today.
All right.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.
We really enjoyed this.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you.
Right,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so you can see as much info as I tried to extract from them about the finale. I was not able to get anything, but we all know what happened. Hopefully you can weigh in on whether you liked it, you hated it, you loved it. But if nothing else, it was definitely a dramatic finish to this series. So I'm glad you watched. Thank you so much. Follow us on all the socials. Let us know the kinds of stuff you want to see in the future. We'd be happy to do more events catering to exactly what you're looking for out there. And once again, I'm going to thank American Cinema Editors, Filmmaker You, Edit Stock, Jason Banky, Janet Dalton, all the usual suspects. We were going to have another episode coming up really soon, the cinematography behind The Boys, which I think is also ending this year, but lots of finales. So get on that one. Stay tuned. It's coming up soon. Thanks a lot.